there are men who belong to history. And then, there are men who belong to no time at all. His name was the Count of Saint Germain. And from the moment he appeared in the palaces of 18th-century Europe, no one could quite explain him. No birth record survives that anyone trusts. No childhood. No origin. He simply arrived. Speaking every language of the continent without accent, French, English, German, Italian, Russian, Portuguese, each one as though it were his mother tongue. Painting with pigments that glowed as though lit from within, colors no artist of his era could replicate, achieved through methods he never taught and never fully explained. He arrived complete, polished, as if he had always existed and was merely returning to rooms he had already furnished long ago. At the court of Louis XV, he was no mere curiosity. He was a confidant. The king received him in private. Letters were exchanged. Missions, diplomatic, covert, still only partially understood, were assigned to him. And the court whispered. They whispered because the elderly countesses, women who had known the great salons for 50 years, who had measured time by the faces that aged and faded around them, would look at him across a candlelit room and feel something cold move through them. A chill of recognition. They had seen this face before. Not in a portrait. Not in a miniature. In life. Decades ago. In rooms that no longer existed. And it had not changed. Not a line. Not a shadow. Not a single trace of the years that had devoured everyone else. Voltaire, the greatest skeptic of the age, a man who had spent his life sharpening reason into a weapon against mystery, called him a man who knows everything and who never dies. That sentence came from a man who believed in almost nothing. Consider what it cost him to write it. He demonstrated before witnesses the ability to remove flaws from diamonds, placing them in his palm and returning them without blemish, without explanation. He neither ate at public tables nor drank wine, not out of rudeness, but as though such things simply did not apply to him. He seemed to require very little of what ordinary men require. Sleep. Sustenance. Rest. Company. The consolations of ordinary life did not appear to interest him, because a man who has seen everything is rarely consoled by small things. He moved through secret societies the way other men move through open streets. Rosicrucian lodges. Masonic temples. Inner circles of initiates across France, Germany, Russia, and the Ottoman territories. He was not merely a member. He presided. He guided. Men of great power and learning sat quietly and listened when he spoke. He spoke of ancient knowledge as though he had been present at its transmission. Of alchemical principles not as theory but as craft. Of events from centuries past with the offhand familiarity of personal memory. In 1784, official records say he died in a small German principality. Quietly. Without spectacle. But the records were thin, almost deliberately so. The body was not displayed as custom required. No state of mourning. No public grief from those who had claimed him as a friend. And almost immediately, the sightings began. Paris. Vienna. Venice. The East. The same face, in different rooms, in different years, under different names. Unchanged. Watchful. Slightly amused, some said, as though the performance of his own death had been a small joke he permitted himself once a century. Napoleon's secret police kept a file on him decades after his supposed death. Not as a historical footnote, as an active subject. Madame Blavatsky, whose knowledge of the esoteric world was unmatched in the 19th century, named him among the hidden masters, immortal adepts who move behind the curtain of recorded history, guiding civilization with patient, invisible hands. Richard Chan Frey, in the 20th century, publicly claimed to be Saint Germain and demonstrated alchemical transmutation on French television. He was dismissed. But the dismissal was nervous. Was he a fraud? The question answers itself across time. No fraud sustains a mystery across 3 centuries, under the scrutiny of kings and philosophers and secret police, without a single moment of exposure. No fraud leaves behind witnesses who contradict themselves only in dates and cities, never in the essential detail, the face. Always the same face. The esoteric tradition answers quietly. It says that a human being, fully awakened, fully realized, is no longer subject to the laws that govern ordinary existence. That the body, transformed through disciplines the Western world lost and the Eastern world encoded in silence, becomes something other than mortal. That time, which devours all things, does not devour the one who has stepped fully outside of it. He has simply learned, across more years than history bothers to count, that patience is not a virtue. It is a power. Please do subscribe.